A life without children is vapious, and it's inane, and it's pointless. And you may sit here and think that your career matters, but the truth is that your job will fire you out of women. And when you're 52 and you're past it with no grandchildren in a house by yourself, and all your friends have grandchildren in this beautiful life, and you're sitting there by yourself, do you think the fact that you can afford a few extra Gucci bags is going to genuinely make you feel happy? I stood there and I looked at my 93-year-old grandmother, and there was a whole room full with maybe 70 people that came from that one woman. You had 70 sentient beings, including myself, full of life from one woman who dedicated herself to being a mother and a good wife. And if you sit here and genuinely think that you're going to work your ass off through your fertile years, and by the age of 54, you're not going to be suicidal alone with a cat.
We not only satisfies on sex. There's other things that makes you happy. Let's say having this podcast makes you happy, right?
As a man.
I guess.
Men don't get the same fulfillment that women do. We get fulfillment from different things. Men need a mission. Acquiring status, acquiring money, etc. makes you more attracted to the opposite gender. Women, they're more concerned with acquiring the best man.
Okay, so what do you think makes a woman happy?
A family and children, typically. We brought plenty of women on here that have been career women that chased their career and education, and they regret it. They're 35 years old and they can't find the man that they want anymore.
Or 34, 32. On the panel.
So.
Viral attention for sharing her regrets about ditching the idea of marriage and family. Now, her article in Business Insider reads, quote, "I'm 38 and single, and I recently realized I want a child. I'm terrified that I've missed my opportunity." That woman's name is Melissa Persling, and she's revealing to Fox News Digital what she thinks caused her current situation. Listen.
I feel unbelievably betrayed by feminism. I was constantly fed this idea that women can do everything. We don't really need men. Women can have the great career and have the kids that they like and change the tires and do this. I mean, I grew up thinking, and men are great, but like I can do all the same things. I do feel in many ways betrayed by that line of thinking. I kind of want to go back to some of those teachers and coaches and say, what the hell did you mean by that? Because women can't do it all. We can't.
Katrina, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, I'm going to go deep here. So I have a lot of opinion on this, and I really think that feminism in some ways has really sabotaged women's happiness. And the reason I believe that is because we are asked to do all these different things, right? But then our nervous system goes whack. Like I know for myself, I'm in work mode and then mother mode and then family mode, right? And so your system just completely goes out of whack, which is why I truly believe, and I found this quote and I thought it was so telling, is that the divine feminine is the rawest, wildest, and most honest mirror a man will ever encounter. The awakened man opens his heart and goes to battle. He will tame his dragons and face his deepest shadows, since he knows that deep within, her heart will guide him home. And I think that there is a beautiful balance between the feminine and the masculine energy. And I know that as a woman, regardless of what any woman says, I think she wants to feel safe with a man, and she wants to be able to feel her feminine energy, but it's very difficult to go into that space when you're trying to fulfill all these different roles, which is what I think this woman is feeling right now, which is what I think a lot of women, right, in very powerful positions are feeling. And then there's this idea that if you're powerful, you can't be, you know, a beautiful wife or a beautiful mother. And so I think we need to go back to really the way God designed us to be, which is as women, we need men. And it makes for a beautiful balance.
Chris, something that struck me about this is something that Katrina mentioned earlier, which is your influences start in the home. So the moral of this story to me was that she felt betrayed by her influences. But if she had been influenced a certain way in the home, then there wouldn't have been confusion. Does that make sense?
It does, and I really like the points you just made. I think that, you know, this is a little bit of a weird topic for me to talk about, but we grew up with parents. I grew up with parents that had my brother and I when they were in their early 20s, okay? And that was their decision. That was great. My wife, Lily, decided to, she's an entrepreneur. She built her business in her early 20s and early 30s, and we didn't have kids till we were in our mid 30s. And she struggled with this early on a little bit. But this is where I think, as a man and as her husband and her protector, I take my personal responsibility to be her greatest advocate and her greatest cheerleader for everything that she's doing, everything that she's accomplished, everything she has to balance as a woman. And I think more men should take that responsibility. Not that I'm on this high horse or anything. I'm just saying I do think that it's the role of a man to do.
At our Vault conference, we had with a couple thousand people there. I challenged everybody to go do a certain questionnaire the first night, and the next they come and share their breakthrough with everybody. A lady sitting right here, she gets up and she says, Patrick, I have to tell you my breakthrough last night. For the last 20 years, all I've been trying to do is compete against men to prove that I can make as much money as they make. I'm strong, I don't need them, I'm independent. I run a very successful salon. I do very well for myself. I'm very, very successful right now. To my friends, to my peers. I said, where are you going with this? What's wrong with that? She said, the breakthrough I had yesterday is men are not the enemy. I want a husband. I want to get married. I want to have a family. How interesting is that, right? How many endless videos can we see with women in their 60s who bought into the movement to make men and women equal are sitting there saying, I regret making that decision because I'm single, never been married, don't have any kids, and I'm alone. And I wish I would have married men. I wish I would have had kids because I wouldn't have been alone today.
The irony of this century is that women are fighting for a place at the table of business leaders. As they mature, many women seek comfort in kitchens and TV rooms rather than boardrooms. Women thought the world of men was easy until they experienced it. Humans are flexible because we are created. Men deal with stress differently. They can take emotion out of situations, unlike women, because their thoughts and motivations are emotional. It is part of their DNA. Women tend to act on emotions, which leads to stress, anxiety, and many bad decisions. Men tend to act first and evaluate their feelings later and often seek relaxation after doing something. Our phones are just different. Although men experience stress and fatigue, we tend to accept it better because of biological and physical differences. But in the US, we are so influenced by what we see on TV that we often work hard to keep up. Many women live in dreams of excitement, only to find out that their dreams are false. Many times we hit the wall and understand the challenges of being a woman and can't live better, especially if we follow Chad's advice. Women's hard work isn't exclusive to 9-to-5 jobs, but Chad's constant focus. Ultimately, this lifestyle is detrimental to today's most independent women. These women want someone to fix their breakdowns and repairs like a mechanic, and of course back to Chad's exciting ride. Despite attempts to revive him, all attempts failed. There is a trend emerging among young women who seem to appreciate the schoolboy. Praise a woman in her 30s, and she probably won't open the car door for you. But open the door to a 20-year-old woman, and it's like you just rescued her from a burning house. It seems that the younger generation resents the older generation for the way they have paved the way. Strictly speaking, many women are unhappy with feminism because they withdraw from the role of women in the sense of international law. Women are meant to care for others, to care for and to raise a family, which is reflected in their biological ability to bear children. Women feel sad when they go out with nature for a long time. They know that they are wasting their time by avoiding their natural activities and trying to do male activities. On the other hand, men don't try to be wives to take care of children. They are satisfied with their roles as protectors and providers and do not try to oppress women. A woman who wants to be the main breadwinner is like someone who complains about not having children. Although women helped women become better and more independent, they failed to distinguish between independence and autonomy. Women began to look down on men for their masculinity because they wanted to be like men. In fact, women are inferior tomen. If you scroll through social media, you will see many videos of women reaching the breaking point and realizing how stupid it is to delay starting a family with the decision. They lament that instead of attention and acceptance from men, they are now chasing young women who want family life. In general, feminism did not free women at will because freedom was more important than economic independence. Being comfortable with who you are and showing your feminine side. Men are raised to be protectors and providers of women, and they excel in these roles. Women's real work, like men's, is not running large companies or sitting on company boards. This is the woman. When it comes to the definition of a strong and independent woman, she is usually someone who has been pampered and nurtured since childhood, who enjoys the benefits of women, and is capable of maintaining one's certain lifestyles. When it comes to financial responsibilities, men may be blamed and patriarchy pressured. Many women leave their husbands because they believe they know better than men about raising children. Men tend to study harder, which most women don't like. Divorce is possible when the woman asks the man to clear the advice and he does not accept it. So a woman leaves her husband and raises her child to believe that they can do whatever they want without consequence. When a child grows up and learns that breaking the law pays off, he grows up in prison. All of this could have been avoided if the father had been there to teach the child the consequences of bad behavior. Women do a good job of destroying families and educating prisoners. Maybe traditional women will take ownership of women and new women for their work so they stand alone. The question is whether this realization will come before or after 2030, when 45% of women will be single and childless. I think not. I want to raise my daughters to know that being a wife and mother is the best job a woman can do. Everything is second nature. Feminism encouraged and empowered women to be independent from men and thus made a difference. It showed women that they could be independent by continuing their education and climbing the career ladder. This concludes our A4 anonymous coverage for the day. Click that like button, please. Make sure you hit that notification bell in addition to subscribing. Leave a comment telling us what you think. Have a great day tomorrow.